Yo, what up? Long time no see. So this will be my top 10 books of 2020 coming at you from my temporary living space here in Oklahoma now. Here in about a month or two, I'll start making videos out of my van, and then this summer I'll be traveling around, so I'll be kind of all over the place. But this is my spot for the next 2 months or so. So here we are, coming at you with number 10. Oh, and by the way, I don't have most of these copies with me. I only have like one. I had to put all my stuff in storage up in Denver, and I only brought the books that I hadn't read yet. And so, and out of my top 10 books of this year, I only read one of those in the past month. So that's why it's like that. So, and I'm not fancy where I can put, pictures of books on here like everyone else can. So yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me. But coming in at number 10, I have Call Me By Your Name by Andre Osman. I didn't make a video about this one mainly because it seems like everyone's talking about it on BookTube, and I just don't want to repeat all the same things. It's a great LGBTQ book. The only problems I had with it were like the age differences, which the guy that plays Timothy Chalamet, I can't remember the freaking character. What's his name? It's been a minute, but the main character, he's like 17, and then the other guy's like late 20s or so. But that was the only really problem I had with it. But it was a great story, great writing. Overall, enjoyed it. Didn't like the movie as much. I read the book first, so maybe that was it. But I mean, usually that's the case anyways. But coming at number 9, After Dark by Murakami. It was my first Murakami book. I've made a video about that one as well, so if you want to check that out, you can. I don't know how to do the thing up in the corner like everyone does, but but yeah, just go to my page. I don't have that many videos. So yeah, it was a good, it was a short story. It was, even though it was like almost 300 pages, like the typing was really big and there was like a lot of short chapters, so it felt like a really short book, way shorter than No Origin would, which I read later. But yeah, After Dark, it's kind of like, it's hard to explain. It has like weird timelines, and Murakami creates like these weird, like kind of slightly magical realist sort of realities, but definitely a really cool book to check out. It's about this girl that's pretty much hanging out in a Denny's one night in Tokyo, and and it just kind of goes out through her night and her experiences. She like leaves and comes back a couple times, but it also has songs that are mentioned throughout the story, so you can like listen to the music and read the book and get like a really good vibe with the type of atmosphere he's creating, which I really liked. I'm a huge music person. But coming in at number 8 is Catch Me If You Can by Frank Abagnale. I also made a video about this one, but it was one of my favorite movies growing up, which actually just came out on Netflix. I just found out last night. So check that out if you haven't seen that movie. Totally worth it. Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio. But the book was just as good, if not better. Probably since the movie holds so close to my heart, it's probably not better for me, but it was a really enjoyable read. I couldn't put it down. 5 out of 5. All these are actually, so it's kind of pointless for me to say that, but but yeah, definitely go check that out. It's nonfiction, but it reads like a fiction thriller. But coming in at number 7 is Normal People by I just have her last name. I can't remember her first name. Something Mara Rooney, is that right? I don't know. Miss Rooney. But I really enjoyed this book. It's mainly because I had a lot of coincidences with like the main character, with being an English major and stuff like that. So I felt like I related to the guy a lot more than probably most people would. And then I really related to the girl as well because of her like home life and stuff like that. So both characters I connected with, and it just really worked for me. I know it seems like this book's kind of like a love or hate relationship with some people. You either love it or hate it, but I really liked it. I loved it. I really enjoyed the show. I watched the show first, so I'm not sure what I would have thought about it if I switched the orders, but definitely check that one out. And then number 6 for me is Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell, who Orwell has become one of my favorite writers. I wasn't ever really big on 1984, even though it was written well. I didn't really care for the story that much, but I also did read it like 3 or 4 years ago. So I might have to come back to it. But now he's becoming one of my favorite writers, and I want to read everything he's put out. But this deal, I have a video about this one as well, but it deals with homelessness and in the early 1900s and the restaurant life of Paris and London, and working as like a dishwasher and just doing these like really low jobs and and just living that life. And that's what I really enjoy reading about, is the everyday, you know, about poor people, like Steinbeck and Orwell, like people that aren't rich or just don't live the typical lives. But I find the life of like homeless people kind of fascinating, just because it's so strange, and a lot of people don't really think about like their everyday realities. But I don't know, that's just me. I just really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 5, and my favorite book by him is The Cafe of Lost Youth by Modiano. This again takes place in Paris. I've been kind of on a France kick on reading stuff set in Paris and France this year. But Modiano, if you want like a, you know, black and white kind of 1950s Paris vibe, it's kind of moody and mysterious, and deals with memory and loss and time passing. He's your guy to go to for sure. I've read 4 of his books now. I finished what is it? Like Lost Youth or Once Young, or Young Once, I think is what it's called. But it was probably my least favorite that I've read by him, but still, it wasn't bad. But I definitely recommend The Cafe of Lost Youth. It's the shortest one, and all of his books are short. It was only like 110 pages, I think, but definitely check that one out. And then coming in at number 4 is Rum Diary by Hunter S. Thompson. I read 3 of his books this year, including Fear and Loathing and another one called Kingdom of Fear. But I definitely enjoyed this one way more. I couldn't put it down. It was almost a perfect book for me, and I really enjoyed it. And it's definitely one of those ones that I'm going to come back to. But it's about him being a writer in the 1960s, going to Puerto Rico, and like, well, I mean, it's a fiction book, but it's kind of autobiographical because Hunter S. Thompson kind of did the same thing. So he's taken from real life experiences and, you know, putting it in a fictional character. But I really enjoyed it. He's one of my favorite writers now. I love his style. I got where is it at? Oh, here it is. I got Hell's Angels next, which I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna start this soon. But yeah. And then number 3 is True Hallucinations, which is the one I just finished just a couple weeks ago. It's a book by Terrence McKenna, and it's the second book I've read by him. I read Food of the Gods 5 or 6 years ago, which I really enjoyed. It was my favorite like nonfiction book, and now, I mean, I consider it nonfiction. Some people don't, but I mean, it's about his real life experiences and him experimenting with drugs and everything. But but yeah, True Hallucinations, I think, is now my number 1 nonfiction book. It's about him and his brother and a few other people in their mid-20s going to the Amazon to take peyote or this other drug similar to that. It had a it had a different name, but I can't really remember it. But essentially, it was peyote, and just their experiences of taking a lot of mushrooms and like really. I mean, Terrence McKenna is one of the first people that really like started wanting to like research psychedelics, like in an academic sense. That really got big, and that has like, and then he became a speaker and he spoke to a lot of people. He has like a lot of video recordings, and I got into him from reading this book, Trip by Tao Lin, which I just thought was good. It was okay. The best parts was him just like summarizing McKenna because he had read all of his works, and so that just made me want to read McKenna. So I went and picked up True Hallucinations and read that, and I definitely enjoyed reading the source rather than the summary. But yeah, moving on. So if you're into drugs, definitely check that one out. Number 2 was Butcher's Crossing by John Williams. Again, one of my favorite authors of all time. I've read Stoner. I've now read Butcher's Crossing. He only has 2 other books that he's put out. I actually have the other one here. Has a creepy cover, but which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, this is I made a video about Butcher's Crossing, and but yeah, it's just a western, literary western, kind of coming of age story of like a homeless college graduate heading west to the final frontier of his time, essentially, and kind of wanting to experience the world and nature after reading, you know, some Thoreau and stuff like that, and yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a perfect book in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing I would change at all, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of got stuck in the middle because I wasn't really sure where I was going, but then once I pushed through, I wish I wouldn't have stopped like at all, because it was totally worth it, and then it just gets better and better. But yeah, so, and then lastly, oh, and I have True Hallucinations, and I didn't even show it. It's such a cool book. Sorry about that. But that was the one that I actually had. But yeah, coming number 1, my favorite book of 2020 was The Angel's Game by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, a Barcelona or Spain author who recently passed away, sadly. And again, his main series has 4 books, and I'm in the middle of reading the 3rd one right now. Got Prisoner of Heaven right here, but you got Shadow of the Wind, The Angel's Game, and then Prisoners of Heaven, and then Labyrinth of Spirits, which I plan on reading this year. But The Angel's Game, which a lot of people say The Shadow of the Wind is better than The Angel's Game, but I honestly completely disagree. Like, I thought The Angel's Game was amazing, and I couldn't put it down, and usually I get burned out with books around like 300 or 400 pages, but it was like almost 550, and I like wasn't tired of it at all. I could have read more, and the only complaint I would have is that it was almost too complicated. Like, there was almost too much going on. So I ended up having to write down like the family tree and like figuring out how it worked, but that kind of just made it more fun in my opinion. So but yeah, overall I really enjoyed The Angel's Game. I made a video about that as well, so you can check that out if you want to. But I definitely plan on rereading that, and I feel like after I read all of them, I'll probably reread it like next year. And I never reread books or want to really, but definitely with like Butcher's Crossing, The Angel's Game, True Hallucinations, and Rum Diary, and even Cafe of Lost Youth, like I would reread all of those, and like soon probably. But yeah, that's my top 10 of 2020. Sorry if this video was a little rough. It's been a minute and I'm kind of rusty, but thanks for hanging in with me if you're still here. And yeah, let me know if what was your favorite books this year, and do you have any suggestions from my top 10? I'd love to hear them. Thanks.